Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. It seems like the special counsel filing shows Trump is increasingly, he was so increasingly desperate to overturn the election. It's all now in the open. She unsealed the documents for people to see that Donald Trump genuinely, in his private time, attempted to overthrow the United States government by stealing an election. Again, we have it. Is that our October surprise? I hope so. After all, isn't that what happened with Hillary? I think so. All right, let's see. Welcome aboard, Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. Welcome aboard, Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Welcome aboard, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Welcome aboard, Lee Grant from Montgomery County. Welcome aboard, all caps. I don't know where you're from, so stick it in there so I can salute you appropriately. Welcome aboard, Michael Rutnan, who's having a busy day. We'll be here for the first half, maybe a little longer. Well, we love having you however you come. And welcome aboard, Patrick Magner, meow, from the morning show as well. Love having you here, my dear brother Patrick. I love the intermingling of the shows. Patrick is one of our great speakers. Every morning at KPFT 90.1 FM, he calls in and he always has something very intelligent to say, something to bring positivity to our conversation. Melanie Keelan as well visits us quite often in the morning. I love having Melanie there. Melanie, our great part of our great family. And of course, joining us today again is the one and only Yvette Avery Herod. How you doing, beautiful? I have some questions about the strike. I understand that the leader of the ILA is actually a Trump supporter. Do you have any information on that? Is the strike really for the workers, or is the strike a vendetta? Could you let me know? I want to hear it from the experienced union person. Let's see what else we got here. Carl Cox is in the house. Carl Cox is from Riverdale, Georgia. We also have in the house E2247, who keeps us on our toes, making sure we are informed. And of course, Yvette Avery Herod is from Atlanta, Georgia. Anyway, we're going to have a great, great show. Let's see what else we got here. Parabin. Bridge says, Vance is a smooth-talking liar, but both were polite. Guess Vance's ability to smoothly pivot from an unfavorable issue to one he can more easily lie about is true. But you know what? While those of us who love politics and follow politics were initially upset with Tim Walz for letting a whole lot of stuff that he could have really jumped on slide, it seemed to have really elevated his likability, favorability. So maybe I think that's what the campaign wanted out of him, because today, however, somewhere, I think he was in Pittsburgh or somewhere in Pennsylvania with the senator from Pennsylvania. He really went at it. So he could have done that last night, but he didn't. I think it was a likability issue. So give him some slack. Actually, the polls didn't come out bad at all. The Politico poll has it 50-50. The CNN poll had it 51-49 for Vance. But if you read the tabs for the 51-49, the person who people would vote for more so would be the Harris Walz ticket because they don't believe Vance. So they say Vance did a better performance. That is like an actor. Who's a better actor? Sly Stallone or Denzel Washington? But let's say Sly. Well, let me not use. Let me use somebody. Who's the best actor? Uh, Bill Cosby or Denzel Washington? Let's say that Bill Cosby was a better actor, but he's a rapist, right? Who is a better person? Who will get your vote? It wouldn't be Bill. It wouldn't be Bill Cosby. It would be Denzel Washington, right? So let's kind of put that into perspective. All right. We've got, let's say Eric Hayes says union workers think the current situation of people on the street making great wage and insurance and saving already is good. And in fact, they turned down a 50% raise increase. 77, 77 is crazy. This is union work saying this, not some nobody. Well, let me tell you something. I don't. When you start to get upset over the overpayment that we give to CEOs, CFOs, shareholders, and all this stuff in a capitalist society, then tell me about it. Look, I don't care what they make. If they can get whatever money they can out of the companies, I am for that because the companies have been ripping us off and stealing our wealth for a long time. I want our wealth more fairly distributed. I'm not going to envy that union worker is going to make more than me. I'm going to uplift that union worker with the expectation that when my time comes around, he'll be there or she'll be there for me. You see, that is what they teach us. They teach us to be crabs in a bucket. Somebody is going out, the crab is leaving the bucket, and all the other crabs are trying to pull down those that are getting out, as opposed to saying, let me help push you out of there. And as we get you out of there, remember there's still more of us here. It's the slave mentality versus the mentality of collectiveness, cooperation. So no, those longshoremen gonna make a lot more than a lot of people. But what those longshoremen we want in return from them is for them to help us blow up the corporatocracy's earning power, which takes away our wealth. I am happy those longshore people are going to have more wealth. It's about time. All right. Bridge MCP says, Egberto, Talking Points memo founder John Marshall commented, Trump kingpin Jason Miller gives a thumbs up to states that want to set up full menstrual surveillance departments. Marshall added, JD Vance is a major menstrual surveillance proponent, but the Trump camp has been fairly good at avoiding the issue. The explicit green light from Miller charges that Waltz would definitely bring this up at his debate with. Wait, let's see. This explicit green light from Miller changes that. Waltz should definitely bring this up at his debate with Johnny Donuts, and Harris campaign should pounce generally. Video in? Is that a video? Let's see what we're talking about here. I don't see. Bear with me, sister. Let me see if I can. Uh, it's behind. That's behind a paywall. That is behind a paywall, so I can't get to it. I can't get to that one. It's behind a paywall. Okay, but anyhow, so we'll see. We'll see. Uh, okay, let me show you something. You notice when JD Vance tried to lie, and he was going to be partially fact checked. What did he do? He said, "You're not supposed. The deal is you're not supposed to fact check me. In other words, you're supposed to let me lie." I mean, and and it's funny because Eric goes ahead and puts it out here as if that was something to be proud of. As if that was something to be proud of. That's so funny. All right, E2247 says the Gaza only stats and do not include occupied territory. 298 persons more died since day 351. 41,689 Gassans are killed. 896,625 wounded. 865 persons more than on day 345. Thank you for those numbers, keeping us into perspective. I'm not going to read all of it. It's all there in the chat for all to see. Carl Cox says Vance, like Trump, is a piece of CRAP, which I think most of us would agree with. Herrick says holding America hostage even during a disaster. Wow. That's not what the governor of Georgia is saying. The governor of Georgia is saying that the president said, anything you need, come to me and it'll be provided. And guess what? I just spoke to a friend in Asheville, North Carolina, and she said, yes, the things are coming in. The things are coming in. Yes, a lot of people up in the mountains, some people that's hard to reach. Some people we don't even know they're there in those mountains in North Carolina. But as they come down and say there are people up there, others are doing what's necessary. All right, E2247 says, oh wait, Breach gave me something here. USA Today. Why an old photo of Trump longshoreman's president returned to prominence with strike? Images of the president and international longshoremen speak with the foreign. Let's see, images. Is that something you want me to read right now, Breach? Let me know and then I'll put it up on the screen if that's what you want me to do. But thank you for the link. I want to kind of continue here till you give me further notice. All right, Paul Fleming says if Megyn Kelly is mad at the moderators, then you know Tim Walz won the debate. Well, you know what happened? They found out later because, like I said, a lot of people are not political junkies like us that want every I dotted and every T crossed. In other words, we want you to go after every lie. But I guess Tim Walz did it the way it was supposed to be done. The truth of the matter is JD Vance is an excellent debater, much better than I thought he would be. I thought he would have come across more cocky than he did. He came across very civil and conciliatory. I mean, he's evil, don't get me wrong. He lies. I mean, that conciliation was very much lying. Thank you for loving to hear us in the morning, Melanie. I wish sometime you could use your Skype or something and call into the show. Your voice would be much appreciated, and I would love to tell our audience on air that here's a voice from Barcelona, Spain. That would give me such a warm feeling in my heart. All right, more on Union Leader. Let's see. Bridge, I tell you what, if you read the story, why don't you call into the show and tell us a little bit about what you read? Let's make it sort of interactive so that I don't just go ahead and read it. Somebody hears somebody else's voice. So just kind of tell us, give us even if it's just a 1 minute synopsis or something. Let's see what else we got here. Michael Rane says the only thing I was upset with Tim Walz with was when JD Vance tried to be agreeable. Should he have asked, I'll contact Democratic representative and see about crafting legislation. Will you do the same? That's a good point. Then actually follow through and watch the Republican Party obstruct some more. Actually, and there's another point that I thought, you remember when Walt said that Trump saved Obamacare? I wanted Waltz to turn around and laugh in the camera and then turn to him and say, you can't be serious. But again, those were the theatrics, right? All he did was looking incredulously at JD Vance. Are you sick in your mind, JD? You try to kill, your man tried to kill this stuff 61 times. Only McCain saved it from being killed. And then you didn't even have concept of a health care. You just wanted it killed. Wow. Let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says, ooh, Judge Chutkin unseals special counsel Jack Smith's presidential immunity. Yep, that's how I started the show. Donald Trump asked big oil CE, this from Paul, CEOs to donate $1 billion to his campaign in exchange for deregulation and even lower taxes. He reportedly holding a fundraiser with Texas oil execs today. Money in politics has always corrupted, but never has it been this brazen. But you know what? There is a point where money doesn't do it. There's a point where you have so much money, and guess what? I think Kamala is close to that point. You have so much money, you can do whatever you want. I won't be worried about that money is coming to Texas to collect. Patrick Magner says capitalism said charge as much as the market can handle. Why does that not include labor? Thank you. And it actually says whatever the market would bear or whatever the market will bear. That's the economic term that they use when I went to when I went to college and studied Econ 101, 102. All right, let's see. Lee Grant said Vance did a good job, a great job. That the left will fear that he gives gravitas and depth to soften the oft-times bombastic approach of Trump. Not really, because we also have, don't forget, we have the dossier of Mr. JD Vance. And the dossier of JD Vance, it makes Trump seem tepid. It's a lot. The dossier from is worse than Trump. And you know why it's worse than Trump? Because Trump does things by brute force. Trump is very dumb. He does stuff by brute force. That's it. The problem with JD Vance is JD Vance is intelligent. JD Vance is smart. And if JD Vance being so smart have all these things out there, madre carajo mío, you don't get it, brother. You don't get it. So no, JD Vance is more of a lightning rod than is Donald Trump. Mark my words. I've got the dossier. All right, continuing. Egberto, which one was behind the paywall? The one from Alternate was behind the paywall that she gave us. All right, Paul Fleming says the MAGA claim that undocumented immigrants are driving up housing costs is an absurd as it is bigoted. What's more, about 1 million undocumented laborers work in construction. You can't increase the supply of housing by cruelly deporting the people who are building it. It's amazing, isn't it? But it's even deeper. But let's talk of supply and demand stuff. If you get a lot of immigrants out here looking for homes, the price of rent, the price of homes are going to go up, right? That's a fact. But that is not the reason why, for all these times, we've had this sharp appreciation in the price of homes, the price of rent. What we have is something known as where these venture capitalist companies, not only venture capitalist companies, investment firms, they go up into the neighborhoods. They go into poor neighborhoods and they buy up the entire block of homes and they fix it up and nobody lives in them. They throw it on the market and they decide what price they're going to put it on the market because they bought it for so cheap that holding on to the property empty until they can put somebody in there at a high price, creating what's known as a false shortage, helps create this home crisis. Now, I don't know if you guys remembered when I played the Tom Hartman in his new book. Tom Hartman's new book. It's called "The Hidden History of the American Dream: The Demise." Let me put it here: the demise of the middle class and how to rescue our future. One of the one of the items that Tom covers in this book is exactly what I just spoke about. That these guys buy up these homes and it's an investment. And by the way, their expenses to rebuild the homes are tax deductible. They can take all kinds of tax breaks on these homes because they're investments like stocks or whatever. They appreciate and you pay less taxes on the appreciation, etc. Whenever it's sold, of course. That's what's going on. They're just making homes a commodity. And do you know what people want with commodities? People want commodities to have ever increasing pricing. And that's where we're at. So, what Kamala Harris is doing is saying we're going to flood the market with new homes, 3 million new homes, right? We're going to give subsidies to get builders to build the gazoo all over where homes need to be built them. That is going to force the price of homes down because all those guys who invested in those homes and have them off the market, if you create affordable homes, you're going to force them to drop their prices because they don't want to be, they can hold on to those homes for a while, but they don't want to hold on to it forever. So that's a whole story behind all of this, my dear brother Paul Fleming. All right, I saw another message here from that I wanted to read. Yvette Avery Herod says, I've seen the talk and photos saying he's a supporter of 45, but I have no connections to confirm at this time. Thank you, Yvette. I'm going to ask you to, if at some time, if you can check your connections, meaning the leadership in your union, to see if they have respect for that, the leadership of the ILS. What is it? Longshoreman? Yeah. Please find out for us and keep us posted. It would be great if you could give us a report that we'll go ahead and frame from you. All right. Paul Fleming said, I read that one already. Let's see where else we got. Carl Cox, MAGA crowd is wrong. Yeah, we know. British MCP says ILA President Harold Daggett asked ILA members to pray for former President Donald Trump and victims at Saturday's Pennsylvania rally. Recalls productive meeting last November with Trump. That's interesting. That's interesting. There's also videos out there where he says he wants to freeze the whole economy. And apparently not just the United States, by just stopping the movement and the flow. But again, I want to be, before I go ahead and change my stance, I want to be very, very sure because it's not just about the union leadership, it's about the membership. We have a lot of bad leadership. Look at the union from Yvette Avery Herod. They didn't endorse Kamala, they just didn't endorse. But the rank and file wanted something else. So I'm going to be asking our one and only Yvette Avery Herod to get some information for us if she can, and then come back and let us know what we need to do. All right, Paul Fleming says California Attorney General Rob Bonta has filed a lawsuit against Catholic Hospital in Northern California for allegedly refusing to provide a woman with the emergency abortion care after she had a miscarriage. Yep, they should take away their license if they're not going to work for the people. Peggy Lopez says, I watched the debate and saw Walz was interviewing for the position of vice president and Vance was interviewing for the position of prince to take over from the position of king. I love that. In other words, Donald Trump is going to get into office, probably drop dead, and then Vance will be president. That's interesting. That's an interesting thought, my dear, beautiful Peggy Lopez. All right, Michael Rudden says, Eric, supply and demand. There are going to, however many people there are. The number of available homes can be increased by building more and preventing corporations from buying up the housing supply. Exactly. That's what Tom Hartman was talking. Listen to the Tom Hartman interview that we did a couple weeks ago. All right. The DOJ has filed a new indictment against two former Louisville police officers tied to Breonna Taylor's 2020 death. The indictment comes after a judge dismissed the most severe charges. It's clear the legal fight for Breonna's justice continues and accountability must be pursued. I agree. Now, I want you to listen to this. The debate really turned at the end. I think Vance would have won the debate by 5 points or so, maybe, if this didn't happen. But then it happened. Well, the debate was uneventful. It was a lot more civil than likely it should have been, given the mountainous number of lies that JD Vance said. I mean, the guy is pretty smooth, and my God, he can lie and look you straight in the eye. But the one thing that stood out in that debate was when Tim Walz asked JD Vance the most important question with regards to the election. Did Trump lose the last election? And JD Vance proved that he's a pansy like all the other MAGA folks that are completely fearful of Donald Trump, that they cannot tell the truth that Donald Trump doesn't want them to tell. Listen to this and we'll take it on the other side.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to respond to you.
Yeah, well, I don't run Facebook. What I do know is I see a candidate out there who refused, and now again, and this, I'm pretty shocked by this. He lost the election. This is not a debate. It's not anything anywhere other than in Donald Trump's world. Because look, when Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is, where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you, America.
So yes, this is the part of the debate, the only thing in the debate that really stood out. That is one of the only things, I should say one of the only things in the debate that stood out. But you know what happened? When I saw that, when I heard that, we did the show live, right? It was like, wow, I can't believe he actually said it out loud. That's what's going on in my head. You were there last night, Michael, and you could see kind of my reactions like, I wonder what, whoa, that's interesting that he would actually slip and say that, right? He didn't have an answer for that. And my thought immediately was, that changes the debate. That changes the debate. And if you doubt that that changes the debate, I want you to see this. There is CNN had a group that was turning knobs, etc., and a group of undecided folks that they wanted to see if the debate did anything to make them make up their mind, etc. And I think the group was, I don't know, probably 7, 8 people or so. And they, it's actually turned somebody's mind. And I think those people whose minds weren't changed were probably still leaning in the same direction because this guy saw it. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
We have some reaction from one of the voters in the focus group in Battleground, Michigan, about that moment. Let's take a look.
Well, I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. One of the stark sort of aspects of that debate that really stuck with me was when they were talking about January 6th and how Mike Pence certified the election, and they were wondering if JD Vance would certify the election should Trump lose. And, JD Vance didn't really give us a definitive answer, and I'm disappointed in that fact. And I don't think that I can trust someone, with my vote if they're not going to respect it.
And that came directly from that last question, right? I can't trust. Here we go. You cannot say Donald Trump lost. You cannot go against Donald Trump. And it tells you exactly who you are. A feeble, weak person. Remember, this is a guy who called Donald Trump Little Hitler. This is a guy who said Donald Trump's economic programs didn't work. This is a guy who said Donald Trump was not the populist candidate he purported to be. This is a guy who, if you see the dossier, you'll see all the crap this guy has spoken about Donald Trump. but Trump made him the guy because this guy, Eric, liked this guy. Eric, that I'm talking about Donald Trump's son, liked this guy. You know what, folks? We got to keep pushing. You got to keep reminding people. Those of you who are in Texas, please remember the deadline for registering to vote is October 7th. So, folks, don't be fooled. The debate, while for those of us who are professionals, the debate may not look as it does not what we wanted it to be. But ultimately, number one, we didn't lose. To some, we even won. But more importantly, all the numbers went more positive for Tim Walz than it did for JD Vance. So that's where we're at. All right, let's see what else we got here. Scrolling up. Peggy says 2 job interviews was all I saw, not anything but. All right. Paul Fleming says during the Tuesday's vice presidential debate, Senator JD Vance claimed that former President Donald Trump salvaged Obamacare. However, history shows Trump worked to dismantle it. Let me give you the full takedown by a CNN fact checker on that regards. I think I have it here. Let's go for that. It turns out that, yes, JD Vance had the nerve to say, you know what? Donald Trump didn't like Obamacare, but you know what? Since he couldn't really quite get rid of it, he saved it. He saved something that was on life support. He saved Obamacare. Of course, it's a lie. He saved nothing. He attempted to get rid of Obamacare, but the most irresponsible thing about it, he had nothing to protect people from bad insurance companies, from rescissions, from throwing you off the policy. I mean, he had nothing for that. Pre-existing condition, he had nothing for that. I want you to listen to how CNN's fact checker took him down.
Let's turn to another egregious distortion of history from Senator Vance, this one on Obamacare.
When Obamacare was crushing under the weight of its own regulatory burden and healthcare costs, Donald Trump could have destroyed the program. Instead, he worked in a bipartisan way to ensure that Americans had access to affordable care.
Casting Donald Trump as the savior of Obamacare, I think, is bananas. Donald Trump tried very hard to repeal Obamacare. The only reason it was not repealed in 2017 was because he barely couldn't find enough Republican votes in Congress. And then he tried to undermine Obamacare in various ways. He cut the open enrollment period in half. He slashed funding for advertising and for people who help other Americans sign up. He ended a key set of subsidies for insurers. His administration refused to defend some critical provisions of the law in court, instead arguing that they should indeed be invalidated. I could go on. So yes, Trump did keep operating the Obama exchanges. He didn't completely give up on it, but casting him as the savior of Obamacare, I think, Jake, is pretty dishonest.
Who would think Donald Trump? Look, I mean, it's amazing. Now he wants to sign a bill that says he will not sign, rather, he says he will sign a bill that says he won't nationalize anti-abortionism. Okay, he won't nationalize that. He also now says, oh, I saved Obamacare. I love Obamacare. The guy's a chameleon that will say anything if he thinks it will get him a vote. Unfortunately, he has to walk a tightrope, because while he may feel like they'll come around, I know a whole lot of evangelicals are not coming around. The first time Donald Trump says, I am not going to support the national band, they're going third party, baby. They're going third party. Anyway, let me continue reading. It says here, the DOJ has filed new, I got that already. During Tuesday's vice presidential debate, I did that already. All right, but he says, Egberto Willis, I thought the debate was blah. Which Wall said more things, being himself. I wish so too. But both were polite. I guess Vance's ability to smoothly pivot from unfavorable issues to one that can be more easily talked about, lie about works. Salute. You're absolutely right. All right. Michael Radin says the Supreme Court declares that a president could do anything and it would be legal. Yes, they did. And there's nothing King Trump couldn't do. Execute his political opposition, thereby there will be no legal recourses. That's a shame, but that's the truth. All right, what else have we got here? Paul Fleming says Devin Nunes, the former congressman who runs the company behind Truth Social, traveled to North Macedonia as a former president. Trump was to once again the U.S. To North Macedonia as former Prince Trump was to once again shape U.S. foreign policy. There you go. Got it. All right, Michael says, Eric, when Trump loses on January 6th, event will happen again. Trump will go down swinging. I don't know. I think Trump is a wimp, to tell you the truth. All right, I see a circle jerk in that no name calling, my brother. Bridge MCP said, Lee ever see a true MAGA? Their trailer trash, Trump tattoos on their head. Give me a break. Bridge also says, Lee, no. Eric says, Orange Derangement Syndrome all the way till 11/5 instead of worrying about others' financial health. Nope. I think he worries about people more than we do. But when you have a clear and present danger, Eric, you have to mitigate that. You have to handle that right away. That's why you see us focus on it. All right, Mike Cisak says, Egberto, considering I was able to prove vast vote fraud in 2020, yes, he did win. But that's in the past, and it's worked out from the better since people now see Dems for the reason for crap excess. Well, oh my God. The man actually thinks there was voter fraud. I am so sorry for you, my brother. I don't know what did it to you, but I'm sorry for you. I don't know what did it to you, but peace. Peace. Salute. A sleepiness just came over me. All right, let's see what else we got here. In early hours of July 28, 2017, Senator John McCain solo walked to the front of the Senate. The chamber was tense. Two other Republican senators, Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, had already announced they would vote against the GOP's skinny repeal bill, a measure that would permanently repeal the Affordable Care Act, individual mandate, among other provisions. And McCain turned to Democratic side of the chamber and grinned, looks of resignation for the GOP leadership that had put past few hours trying to get him to do it. That's, hey, what can I say? What can I say? All right. I think I have one more video. Check this out. First of all, the military is a very male-centric organization. Very male-centric. And they don't just go ahead and say they want to elevate a woman for anything. Most of the time they have to be told. Well, they took a picture and apparently went ahead and did the right thing. Now you can get all kinds of stuff, etc. That, how should I say this? Now you can get to see a general do the things that you would not have seen him do before. This is a former general, of course, and that is say, I want the woman to be the commander-in-chief of the United States military. I want you to check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
We should elect them for the character because we don't know what's going to come up. Those things come into a presidency in a way that tests the mettle and the character of the person in that office.
You have a former president now running for the presidency again. You seem to have core character questions. Is he fit for office or not?
Hey, Bob, let's be honest. Why would a retired military officer come on to endorse his opponent?
You tell me.
because I think character is very important. And so I'm voting for character. I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
So we face a critical choice: to vote for someone who stands with our military and stands up for democracy, or someone who will disrespect our heroes and undermine our democracy. My fellow Americans, there is only one choice. One choice.
There is only one choice. So says the former defense secretary. So says the former leader of Iraq, I believe, leader of the CENTCOM in Iraq, I think it was, McChrystal. So I think it's interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this in there for Bridge MCP. There is the leader of the ILA with Donald Trump shaking hands. What does that mean? Donald Trump is the guy who says, fire the union workers, fire those people who are trying to unionize. Why would he be doing this? I need some inside information. Inside information is necessary. Tammy Jansen, welcome to Politics Done Right. Where are you located, Tammy? She says, Vance stole so many lies about Trump MAGA that one would think he was a Democrat. It was despicable. I know, right? He thought he was a Democrat. Not for lying, but, you know, he wanted to make it seem like he was all that progressive, right? Mike Cisak says Democrats aren't holding democracy since their candidate wasn't voted on. Actually, that's not true. They were voted on. Lee Grant says organized labor has always been shady. Where's Jimmy Hoffa? Well, you know, let's say they're shady. I don't care. Do you think the corporation leaders are any less shadier? Welcome aboard, Tammy Jansen from Oregon. Will that be Portland? I love Portland. I mean, Portland is such a quaint, big city. You know, I love the coffee in Portland. I love the ambiance in Portland. You know, love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, let's go ahead and have a chat with our sister. Our sister, Bridge MCP, is here with us. Good afternoon, Bridge MCP. Talk to me.
I wanted to tell you about that union guy, whatever his name is, Harold Daggett.
Okay.
And him and Trump go back, I think, 40, 50 years. They both grew up in Queens. They both know each other and all that stuff. And when he was shot, you know, he asked his members to all pray for Trump. But he did go to Mar-a-Lago, I think last year. Well, no, last year. That's the pictures from last year at Mar-a-Lago. He did go to Mar-a-Lago. They did have a great discussion about unions and old crap that Trump told him. And he said that that they had a good conversation and about collective bargaining, and Trump's all for it and blah, blah, blah. So that's why it's circulating, because it's sketchy. Nobody knows exactly what's going on. People are saying that he planned the strike before the election on purpose. There's a lot of, you know, chatter going on. And
right.
To get a definitive answer is hard. So that's why I've been trying to get you to see that thing that I posted, the other link. It wasn't behind the firewall until now. I read it all day. So that gave gave you more background on their lives. So now I can't get to it either. But so that's what I was trying to say, that there's something going on there that is a little sketchy. He could be for real, the guy, and he is a union leader and blah, 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 and I'm all for the strike. But I don't know. It's sketchy. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, no, I couldn't quite, you know, I mean, here's the thing. Unless this guy is brain dead that says we are going to get our contract and, you know, it's okay for Trump to be in, even though we know Trump is going to give the Labor Department a whole lot of wherewithal so that he can not just cancel contracts, but change the rules of the game. That's why no contract leader should support any Republican whatsoever, or any neoliberal for that matter, because what they're going to do is they look at workers as just another commodity, another section on the balance sheet, not as not the investment that you need to have in the working class. So I don't know. I want to
I don't
hear
know.
some more. I want to do some more research.
Yeah, it's still coming to light. We don't really know anything, but there's so many thoughts on it. No one really knows. I can't see this guy for any other reason than they know each other and they grew up in the same area. I mean,
Right.
Trump grew up not far from me either. I mean, he wasn't far from me. In fact, my friend lived about five blocks from him. I used to go there all the time. So, like, we all know Trump in New York. That's to use Texans, I don't know. But anyway, so I just wanted to tell you that. I know. I just wanted to explain that to you, let you know what that
Well,
was all about.
I appreciate the explanation because, again, like I said, I've been getting these pictures, and I even had a video where it says that he wanted to bring down the whole system to show them how important his union is. I mean, his workers are, and I have no doubt that his workers are important. So are the UPS workers. Yvette Avery Herod unionized as well, and so I mean, all these people are essential to our economy. That's why on the morning shows I talk about all the time. I start the show to remind people that it's they who make this economy go around, not the guys like Bill Gates or Elon Musk, or these guys are just hoarders of capital. But we are the ones who actually turn capital, make capital grow, etc., etc., etc. So anyway,
And that's
anything
why
else, Breach?
unions are important.
There you
Nope,
go.
that's it. Just want to
Absolutely.
make that clear.
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
always be
bye.
supportive of you. Thank you, sis. Appreciate your call in.
Okay.
Anyway, folks, anybody else want to call? Give me a call, 281-823-7747. Again, that is 281-823-7747. Love to hear your calls. Una vez más lo voy a repetir, es 281-823-7747. Si si eres latino o si no hablas inglés perfectamente o no lo hablas bien, me puedes llamar aquí a 713-823, 281-823-7747. Repito el número, 281-823-7747. So, folks, give us a call. If you don't understand English, speak Spanish, we can do that as well, where I get your message out to our audience. So, una vez más, 281-823-7747, 281-823-7747. All right, folks, let's see what else we got in the chat. I'm getting sleepy. Okay, let's see. What we do now know is that the Trump tax cuts help to the top end of the scale, and trickle down economics does not work. You are correct. Trickle down economics is a failure, a complete failure. All right, let's see what else we got. I think I have. Did I have another video? No, I don't think I have any more videos. But if anybody wants to call in right now, I'm going to wait a minute or two. I love Portland too, Tammy. You have a beautiful city. Wait, are you from Portland or Eugene? I also like Eugene, where I think the University of Oregon is. I stayed in a. There we go, Patrick on. Hey, Patrick, talk to me, my brother.
Hey, you told me to call you. How are you today?
I am doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
All right. What I'm getting mostly out of this election cycle, especially, I guess because all the name calling and everything, is really capitalism against what people are calling communism, which isn't accurate. I would say socialism would be kind of accurate. I thank you because it's pushed me to read a little bit, and I told you the other day that I wish I was better with economics. So I started reading a little bit. I read up on Adam Smith. Are you familiar?
Yeah, Adam Smith. He's the father of capitalism.
A lot of people say that. What do you know? What he has in common with Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates?
No, I don't.
They all believe that democracy could not survive a population that didn't limit wealth.
Wow.
Every single one of them. They
And
all
that is true.
understood that there's too much coercion with unlimited money.
Hmm.
And if the father of capitalism is afraid of people that are ultra wealthy, what does that say about the capitalism model that we've adopted?
It doesn't work. I mean, like I said, I shouldn't say it doesn't work. It is working as intended, is what I like to say. If you take a look, you heard me talk about the math of capitalism, right? And how we get growth. And if you have people growing at different rates, if you have a particular class, meaning, and I'm not talking about an ethnic class or something like that, I'm talking about a capital class. You have a worker class and a capitalist class. And if you have that capitalist class growing at a percentage greater than everybody else, there, even though the pie is expanding, the pie only it's the same expanding pie for everybody. And the thing about it is, if you take out inflation out of wages, right, and then you project, what you actually see is that the wealthy is there's a reason why the wealthy continue to make take a bigger portion of the entire country's wealth every single time as we progress. And if you take the derivative of that, it finally breaks down to where we get indentured servitude. In other words, you work for you work for this small amount of people, because eventually it is like I spoke about in the morning 2 days ago, when I said, the middle class constantly tries to make up for having to cede their wealth to the wealthy. They used to be able to be one daddy or one mommy, one house. The other parent could go ahead and take care of the kids. Then, when that became indelible, we got two parents having to work. Not only did they have to work, but they had to create employment for somebody else. How did they do that? Their child needed childcare. So now you got two people working, and then you had to create other employment methodologies for your kid to go to that thing whenever you go to work. And as it got worse and they took more of your wealth, now families had to double up. And as families start to double up, you get new businesses that have to get created as well to show to look. If you ever look and see how families that have multiple families in a home work, they have all different kind of dynamics to keep some families separate, dynamics to make the families who are in together have some level of privacy. Look, Patrick, it is all we do, the working class, the middle class, change our economic behavior so that the wealthy can afford themselves to more of our capital. Go ahead, your turn.
They've polled the working class in many different areas of the world, and one of the interesting questions that they ask is how much do you think is enough? Like, how much, what pile of money would it take for you to have to where you weren't worried about things anymore, you weren't stressed, you weren't having to work? In the United States, the answer was 5 million, which I think is kind of high. In Northern Europe, it was $1 million, and that's a big difference. And that was something that got me thinking. And what it got me thinking was, even though the GDP might be lower in Europe, they're living more efficiently. They have these social programs, so they don't have this idea that they need $4 million more than the $1 million pile that they imagine, because they've got a social safety net. They've got a government that works for them more than we do. To me, I believe in the back of people in North America's mind is they need $4 million more than a European does because of the system that we're subject to.
And that is accurate.
Japan has a very low GDP, but it does much better for its people. They're happier, and one of the things that they claim is because they build better products, so they're not filling landfills with junk that only lasts a year or so. They build up quality product that lasts longer, and so their disposable income is replacing the junk that you get here in the United States.
No, you're absolutely. That is interesting, and that's right. And guess what? We're at the end of the show, my dear brother Patrick. I want to tell you that I appreciate your I appreciate your call, my brother. Thank you, and you have a wonderful rest of your day, sir. I love when we get these calls and call in. Patrick, maybe move to Japan. No, maybe you move as we make this country a better place. You know, I get that. I get that too often. Maybe you should move. Maybe you should move. No, we are going to make this country a better country for humanity. That's what we're going to do. Anyway, folks, I want to ask all of you to become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. That helps us offset much of what we do here. How can you do that? First of all, if you want to support the show, there are several ways to support the show. If you go to politicsdoneright.com support, that is an all-encompassing way. It gives you all the different options to support our program. However, you can also go to our Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, to support our show. Alternatively, what I've been asking everybody to do who has the wherewithal to do so is to please become paid subscribers of our newsletter. You get a lot of perks with that. How do you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter? Just go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And you know what? If you want to see what that looks like, right? What does it look like to be a paid subscriber of our newsletter? You actually get to read all, I repeat, all of my books on the Substack platform free of charge. Yes, all platforms free of charge. And how does that work? Well, you simply go ahead and go to our Substack, and I'm going to put that on the screen. And there's our Substack, and those are all the stories that I've written over this week. And you get a newsletter as well with the story directly in your inbox. But the other thing you get is when you come here, you can click on my books and you get to see all of my books. As I see it, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, How to Make America Utopia, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors, and Tribulations of an Afro-Latino-Caribbean Man, Racism Didn't Stop My Smile, Hope, Our Journey Forward. Those are the 4 main books that I have right now. I have a 5th book on weight loss, but I'm writing more books as we speak that's pertinent to the things that we do. Again, those who subscribe, those who become paid subscribers by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter can read the book, can read all those books online. But you know what else is true? If you want a hard copy of the book, you simply need to go to politicsdoneright.com/books, politicsdoneright.com/books, and there are all the books that you can read. politicsdoneright.com/books. You can go ahead and pick up one of our hard copy of the books. But again, my big ask right now is anyone who can, please become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. And that is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.